Welcome. The American Forked Podcast. Annyeong to everybody listening.
Annyeong.
My name is Jake, and I am going to be the host tonight. And I'm joined by my partner in crime, Phil.
Here I am.
And Jeff is over there, not in the corner.
Jeff has COVID.
Jeff's sick.
Oh my gosh, he's always bragged about how his body's a miracle and he'd never get sick from COVID. But he sure did.
He intended to join us remotely online because as of yesterday, he said his COVID was in his house. All his kids had it, and he was feeling fine.
Yeah, and he was like, I'm coming over, guys.
I can join you if you want.
Yeah.
I can record with you guys if you want.
But we knew better. We were like, Jeff, don't bring that over here.
We've become liberals, so we don't want to be around people who are infected with COVID.
Yeah, if you've had COVID in the last 90 days, you can't even talk to us.
Yeah, we don't want to have that because we don't want to risk getting a cough, right?
Yeah. No, it's serious, Jake. People die every day from it.
I know. Yes, 17 of them. So Jeff is here in spirit, and I haven't seen Jeff in like 3 weeks since we went backpacking. So, but thanks everybody for joining us. You're so cool for being here.
You are cool, I guess.
This is episode 76, and if you're just joining us listening to this show for the first time, we are a podcast. American Forked is the podcast dedicated to fixing America. And I think we have proved that doesn't work, right? Did we establish that in the last episode?
No, we can fix it.
We're not fixing America, though?
Oh, we're just like trying. We're doing our level best.
Yeah.
As diligent middle-class citizens.
That's fair.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, exactly.
So we talk about things that are going on in the world, and we put our commentary in, and we see what we can do. See if there are any solutions. We try and discuss those. Otherwise, we just make fun of people.
Yeah, or ourselves.
Usually, we make ourselves look like idiots and unintentionally.
Yeah. Especially Trent.
Yeah, he makes us look like idiots.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Trent. So we want to start off with some things that are going on locally in the news. But before I do that, I would like to remind everybody that if at all you enjoy fried chicken, please follow me on TikTok and Instagram. My handle is Fried Chick Review.
That's
Chick
right.
with CHIK, like Chick-fil-A, because I think it was Instagram. I couldn't have a C in there because there were too many characters or something.
Oh, really?
But anyway, Fried Chick Review, where I review spicy fried chicken sandwiches in Utah and Salt Lake Valleys. I am on a mission to find the best one
in the universe
in northern Utah.
You know what place you should try? Well, I don't even know if they do a fried chicken sandwich, but Lucky 13 up in Salt Lake. You ever been there?
I don't think I have.
That's the best burger in Utah, I think. Yep.
The best burger.
Best burger.
Okay.
So I'm just kind of thinking, well, maybe they also do a fried chicken sandwich, and I wonder how good it is. But it's the best
Lucky
burger
13.
and I think the best fries.
South Salt Lake. Lucky 13 is a burger joint, and we're going to take a look at their menu really quick because, why not?
I don't know.
Fries, pickle spears, onion rings, fries, salads, sandwiches and wraps, buffalo chicken wrap, bacon chicken wrap, Swiss something. I don't think they have fried chicken sandwiches.
They don't have a buffalo chicken sandwich?
Did the TV go off?
Does that count? Oh, no, I just went to screensaver.
Yeah, it's buffalo chicken sandwich counts as long as it's fried, and that's all I need.
Oh, maybe they don't have one.
Spicy chicken sandwich. Fried spicy chicken sandwich is what I'm aimed to find, the best one. And I've reviewed probably 12 of them or so. And I have a wide range of scores ranging between 5 and 9.5. So 10 is the best. And I haven't found the 10 yet.
Well, if you're only landing between 5 and 9.5, why don't you just rate it 1 to 5?
I could.
Yeah.
But I haven't found any that are disgusting yet.
Oh.
If I did find one that was less than 5, then I would say, hey, that's a 5 or a 4. I mean.
Yeah. So it'd be like a negative 0.7.
Yeah. So I could do negative 0.5 through 5.
Yeah.
Or just 1 through 10.
I guess that works too. I was just thinking you're on a quest to find the best chicken sandwich, and I already found the best burger. So I was just telling everybody that that's what it is.
Okay. So Lucky 13 in Salt Lake.
Yep.
Is the best burger.
Yeah, I've had a couple of them, and they're really good. And top it off with some rosemary garlic fries. Really good.
Have you had Seven Brothers burgers?
I don't know if I have.
They're like, the burgers are like 6 inches tall.
Oh, really?
It's one of those big, they like huge, thick patty, and then they'll put like 2 fat onion rings on it.
Yeah.
Or like a half of an avocado, and you get it in your ears when you eat it because it's so huge.
Yeah, I don't like the giant burgers because then I feel like I got to finish it and then I feel like dying afterward.
And they're hard to eat.
Yeah, they're hard to eat. If you're making a good burger, make it edible too. That's my 2 cents.
That's fair.
You can see me on ratemyburger.com/American Forked.
/ not a non-existing
Not a real website.
But follow me at Fried Chick Review and tell me if there's a new place that I need to review. You'll see on Instagram. I have every time I do a review, I have an image, a chart of all of the ones that I've done.
Yeah.
And all the ones that are upcoming.
Help Jake find the best sandwich.
Help me. I need to find
and you can win $1 million.
From who?
I don't know. I thought that's what you said.
Oh, yeah. $1 million. You could win $1 million.
Oh, there you go. You can. Possibly.
May or may not be completely unrelated to following me, but yes.
Yeah.
It's possible to win $1 million.
Yeah.
So what's going on in the news? Well, right now in American Fork, there's no news. But
nothing.
But after I think the day that we post this episode, Steel Days will be starting.
Oh, yeah.
So this will be the Steel Days episode.
That's right. The episode of Steel.
So American Fork's city celebration days is called Steel Days. And it goes from July 5th to July 8th. And the one thing that I'm looking forward to is the car show. Because I like their car show.
Do they still do that? The burnout or whatever?
They do they're doing the car show on Friday, July 8th at 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. at Rotary Park.
Oh, yeah?
And then the car cruise from 7:30 p.m. to 9 p.m., where they cruise Main Street in American Fork. And you sit on the side of the road and you watch the cool cars go by. Trent himself has taken his hot rod on that cruise before.
Has he?
I don't know if he's going to again, but he's done it.
Huh. Yeah, that'll be cool if he does go, Trent, right?
Yep.
Why don't you do it, Trent? Look, I'm going to show you this. We went to the car show in, well, I'm not going to say where because it's by a place that I live, but check it out. I thought Trent would like that.
Oh, nice.
So it's like an old truck that somebody put like...
They dropped it.
A big old motor in, so there isn't even a hood. Trent would really like it.
Yeah, it looks like a 1930s Ford pickup that's been dropped. Is now like a lowrider, hot rod.
Yeah. Trent would really like it, but he's not here. He had to go to some dumb concert, so now he doesn't get to see it.
Jerk.
Yeah. Thanks, Trent.
So that's down in the undisclosed location?
Yeah. In that one place.
In that one place where they have the one thing?
By the one thing that I go to.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, so Steel Days, July 5th through 8th. And as far as Utah is concerned, we've got, recently we had the Utah primary election.
Oh, for what?
Just yesterday. For local and state and federal Senate representatives.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So the incumbent Mike Lee is the Republican senator who ran, and he won.
Oh,
Well, he run the nominee for the Republican Party.
did he win by a lot?
He won by a lot. Yeah.
No. Everyone likes him,
Significantly.
I guess.
Yeah, everyone likes him. He's been doing a good job representing Utah, in my opinion. But if you ask my former presidential nominee favorite, Evan McMullen, who is going to be running against him as an independent in November, you may believe differently. He thinks that Mike Lee is starting to be divisive and not representing Utah well. But whatever.
Oh, interesting.
So we'll see.
So
how
Evan McMullen, the guy that ran for president as a Republican, is now running as an independent.
Yep. Well, did he run as Republican? I
Oh,
thought he ran as independent for president.
Oh,
Maybe
did
was
he?
Republican, and then he transferred over to independent.
I don't know.
And I think the Democrats in Utah have backed Evan McMullen because they know that they have no chance
Yeah.
to become senators for Utah. But they backed Evan McMullen as the competitor to Mike Lee. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens in July.
It's too bad Romney's not up. I think I'd
'cause
run against him.
I'd be tempted to run for office for the first time.
Just kidding. We love you, Mitt Romney.
Yeah, be on our show.
You're the reason we started this thing. We should have
He
called
was
it
one of the first ones we talked about when
Yeah.
we started recording this show.
Mitt Romney's Armchair. That's the new name of our podcast.
Yep. So that's what's going on in Utah. In November, we've got our general elections, obviously. Nationwide, we have a couple things going on. Ghislaine Maxwell has been sentenced to 20 years in prison.
Oh, yeah.
She this was just yesterday. I think they held the trial, or 2 days ago, or had the sentencing, and she doesn't think she deserves it for some reason.
Yeah, she's pretty adamant that it was all Epstein, but I don't know how she wouldn't have been involved. I don't know. Seems like all these girls said, yeah, she was there. She invited me. She paid me. She also did some orgy stuff with me. I can't remember.
Yeah, like stuff like as bad as Epstein did.
Yeah.
Pretty much. But
So
I don't know how much of it she's denied, but
I think she was pretty much like at her closing statement or whatever, she was like, yeah, I regret ever meeting Epstein. He was manipulative. He did terrible things to girls. But she never said like
it wasn't. There was
I'm
no
sorry.
remorse in her. Yeah, and she had a demeanor that was like non-apologetic.
Yeah, and maybe that's because she's more innocent than we know, or maybe it's just because she's a big jerk.
Maybe all the accusations are fake.
Yeah, I don't know. Not saying that there's not any. I mean, they're probably true. There are a bunch of women saying stuff, but Epstein dies. It's like, oh crap, I'm not gonna get any money now.
Right.
But this girl's got a lot of money. I don't know.
Yeah, she was put on suicide watch right before the sentencing.
Yeah, they brought her in like with her ankles handcuffed.
Yeah.
Apparently.
But she was by, I guess, a psychologist or whatever met with her before, and he's like, she's not suicidal.
Oh.
So she, I guess, was, I don't know if I guess they determined she's fit for trial or whatever. So.
Yeah, right. Freaking what's his name? They were probably like, oh yeah, he's fine. Hope he hung himself with the 20 jumpsuits we left in the room.
I'm going to go on the record right now and say that Ghislaine Maxwell did not kill herself. So when she dies, that's not going to be how she dies.
Oh, you think so?
She's going to be murdered.
I don't know. If Epstein did all the things they alleged that he did, then I could see why he would kill himself. Because he's like, I'm effed. It's over for me.
Well,
I got caught.
Right, but it was the, what do they call it? The toxicological report, whatever. What is it called? The
Autopsy.
The coroner said, I've never seen someone commit suicide and there was a specific bone in his neck that broke.
Oh, yeah.
That is usually only consistent with a strangling and somebody else's strength. But he said it wasn't. It didn't appear to be suicide. So
yeah, the camera thing. I mean, the cameras went out, so obviously someone went in there. Like,
and the guards fell asleep.
yeah, the
Right.
guards were asleep, cameras are out. More likely, someone was like, "Hey, I'll give you $100,000 if you turn the cameras off. Go in and strangle this guy."
Yeah, Hillary.
Yeah,
But
Hillary
I mean, it
or Trump.
a lot of people were thinking it was murder because wasn't there like his black book or something was going to be unsealed and names were going to come out, or he was supposed to testify who was involved, and like shortly after that or something like that.
I'm sure they cut deals with those people, and that's what makes me wonder about Ghislaine Maxwell, is because if she was there as much as they say, and there were all these celebrity people like the Prince of Wales and Trump and Bill Clinton and all these people that, you know, big people, I would think there'd be a huge incentive for her to cut a deal and give those people up. But maybe she's too afraid, or maybe she is innocent, or maybe, I don't know. It just seems odd to me or maybe there's just nothing to it. Maybe all those people did associate with Epstein, but did not partake in the forbidden festivities, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, I read much of the flight logs for his plane that would go back and forth to Pedophile Island, as they called it. And it was weird to see, kind of eerie to see a lot of the names of really, really famous people who could have been, you know, participants in his escapades. But anyway, just a big deal.
And I've said this before, but the weirdest one, I think, is Bill Gates, because he became friends with Epstein after Epstein, I think, went to jail for a year or something for lewdness or some deal with some underage girl.
It was pretty late in his downfall.
Yeah, it'd kind of be like becoming friends with Harvey Weinstein after Charlize Theron came out and said that he molested her or whatever. And then be like, yeah, he has an interesting lifestyle.
He does crazy things.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they are all in a big ring of baby eating, blood slurping.
Yeah, let's go down that avenue. So nationally, another thing is Roe has been overturned.
Oh,
in the last week.
I almost forgot.
Yeah, so it is now no longer considered a constitutional right to have an abortion, federally speaking.
Right. And I think for the most part, as far as I can tell, in most states, not a lot has changed. But apparently Utah has changed, because I wasn't aware of this, but it states in the law right now that you can pretty much have an abortion for a lot of reasons. If it's rape or incest, if the doctor says that the baby is not viable. So in theory, up to as many weeks as Roe versus Wade provided. But I guess just recently, like in 2021, the legislators passed something that said if Roe v. Wade gets overturned, then we're going to outlaw abortion. So, which is weird to me that they're tightening the law just because Roe v. Wade got thrown out. I don't know. But essentially the new law in Utah, which I believe takes effect in October or something like that, is only for rape and incest. And pretty much the doctor has to like verify with a police report that it was rape or incest, but there's no longer the viability
aspect
in there. Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah, because I could see there being a lot of quote unquote black market doctors who are like, you can go to this guy because he'll say the baby's not viable, so you can get an abortion.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like a huge win for, and I hate to politicize it, but it has been 100% politicized. It's a win for the Republicans because in large part, conservatives are pro-life and Democrats are pro-choice. So unfortunately, it is a victory for one political party. And I hate the very concept of something like that being politicized, because I've said many times before, as soon as you politicize something like this, a social aspect, an ethical, a moral aspect, you really don't win.
Yeah.
Because there will always be people on the other side who believe the opposite because it's not their party's stance. So,
well, and I wonder if the Republicans aren't hurting themselves, like Utah, for example. I kind of feel like that's a silly law. I don't know what was wrong with the law that Utah had before. Why they couldn't just keep that.
With the viability aspect in it?
Yeah. And like Mississippi, was it Mississippi that this case was over, that got it overturned? What state was suing?
I don't remember.
Let's say it's Mississippi. I believe Mississippi was suing they were getting sued because they made a new law saying that anything over 16 weeks is considered viable instead of 22 weeks or whatever Roe was. And again, I don't have these numbers in front of me. I'm just kind of spitballing, but that doesn't seem crazy to me either. Like, so if someone was like, oh no, Roe v. Wade was overturned, so now it's 16 weeks instead of 22 in Mississippi, I don't think that's a big deal. But apparently there are a handful of states, like Kentucky, it might even be Mississippi, and Utah, that had these kind of trigger laws where their laws got more strict once Roe v. Wade was overturned, which again, I don't understand. I don't understand why they wouldn't just be like, hope it's overturned, so our law that we already had, that we'd already decided on, is going to take effect. Now we're going to have like a more strict law just because Roe v. Wade was overturned. I don't know. Seems a little strange, but...
Yeah, a lot of people, I think, are maybe out of ignorance freaking out that, now the government's saying we can't have choice, and next thing is, they're not going to let us use the Plan B pill or whatever, and then it's going to be same-sex marriage.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be that intense.
Well,
but still, it's up to the states, right, to make their decisions.
Well, it's interesting because Clarence Thomas, one of the Supreme Court justices, he wrote, and I don't know where he wrote this, in a column or if it was part of his ruling or whatever, but he said under the same, pretty much in a nutshell, to my understanding, they threw out Roe versus Wade because it's not, there's nothing in the Constitution about abortion. So before, when they're like, oh yeah, the Constitution guarantees right to an abortion, they're like, no, that's not really a great ruling. And there's actually quite a few people, even on the left, who at the time and since Roe v. Wade have come out and said, even though we think it's a right everyone should have, it's kind of a stretch to say that right automatically comes from the Constitution. And Clarence Thomas is saying that by the same logic, things like contraception and gay marriage and things like that could get thrown out. And I don't know if he's wrong about that because, again, those things aren't, or at least somebody could argue that those things weren't guaranteed in the Constitution.
Yeah. And
people say, oh, well, that means that's outlawing contraception. No, it's just saying that it's not forcing contraception. It's not saying that you have to provide it or you have to allow it or whatever. I don't know.
And that there's no constitutional basis on which the laws could come on those things.
Now, I think in this day and age, if Utah were to outlaw contraception because the Supreme Court threw out whatever law upheld that, I think people would go nuts over that.
I think so too. And I highly doubt that Utah would go that extreme.
Yeah, I don't think.
Or any state. I don't think not even Alabama or Mississippi or any of the Bible Belt states would go that extreme, because that's a big deal.
It's a big deal to most families, I would imagine. But same thing with the gay marriage thing. I would be surprised at this point if they were to overturn that. Not saying that I would be surprised if the Supreme Court overturned it, but if a lot of states turned around and did it. But I could be wrong. I'm surprised with the number of states that have locked down so much on abortion, including Utah, like I said, just because I don't know. I would have thought that they would be more. I would have thought they would just kept it the way it was before. Mm-hmm. I mean, like I said, Utah had their law up until like a week ago that, that you can do this or this or this. Yeah. But anyway, so I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, well, obviously there are organizations like Planned Parenthood and any other medical institutions that provide abortions are probably freaking out.
Yeah.
Because that's a large portion of their funding is abortions.
Yeah. I think in the long scheme of things, what they need to do is come to a compromise and make a law that says abortion is allowed. You can get an abortion for all the reasons you could under Roe V Wade, but not by government funding. Not by U.S. dollars, because then the people who are very against it can feel better that, they're not paying for it.
Right. Like Hobby Lobby, they had an issue with being forced to provide coverage for abortions.
Right.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And people say, oh, well, then the poor people can't get it. But start some freaking nonprofits to pay for those people, just like we have nonprofits for any number of things. Mm-hmm. I think would be the solution there, because it has been really controversial for decades, and that's what the Supreme Court said. The pro Roe v. Wade side, the lawyers argued they argued this point called stare decisis, I think, which essentially means that like this is precedent, like this has been the law for so long, it'd be silly to change it, which I kind of agree with. But the justices that overruled it, they said it's been the law so long, but it's been every bit as contentious the day it was passed all the way up to today.
It's never like people haven't just gotten used to it.
Right. It's been a controversial thing all along. And it probably always will be unless they come to some kind of compromise and put it in the law, in the Constitution, with an amendment. Then we can all forget about it and move on with our lives. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. But you know what the simplest solution to the whole abortion debate is?
Oh, what?
Have safe sex.
Oh, yeah. Or I thought Trent was going to say... Oh, but he would never say don't have sex.
No, he
would say don't have children. But that requires an abortion in there somewhere.
Right. If the sexual activity is not safe, then yes.
Yeah. Which with Trent we know it isn't.
Right.
Just kidding, Trent.
What some people are saying now on the Twitterverse and stuff is they're calling this kind of the era of forced birth.
Oh, yeah.
So the pro-choice community, many in the pro-choice community are like, well, now this is forced birth. The government's forcing me to have a baby.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
stupid argument, I think.
I go back and forth on this because there's this argument that like, well, if you don't want to have a baby, then you don't have sex. But people have sex. Like it's just like they eat and breathe and whatever. Like in any society, even when you teach people, whether it's for a religious reason or you have like social programs that are teaching kids, don't have sex, blah, 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 it's going to happen. They're going to do it. And whether the answer, I don't think the answer is now we should abort those babies, but it's probably hard to say, well, if you don't want abortion, just don't have sex. It makes perfect sense to me, but some, especially young people, their brains don't work like...
I think it's no surprise that we are monogamous,
right,
and we value the fidelity within a marital relationship.
Sure.
But we also respect other people who disagree with that sentiment.
Right.
And still, they have a very easy solution. If you're going to have sex with somebody and you don't want a child, make it a safe activity.
Yeah.
In other words,
wear your seatbelt.
Yes. If you're going to drive 100 miles down the freeway, wear your seatbelt.
Yeah, I agree. I think that seems like a simple solution, but then it'll come back to this argument that, well, you're controlling a woman's body because now she gets pregnant. It's her body. It's her choice. But I think the real argument here is no one's controlling the woman. They're controlling the physicians and what they can do. But then it comes back to the argument that, you know, before legalized abortion, women did it themselves a lot, and probably still do even with Roe v. Wade, but to my understanding, a lot less. And that can often be gruesome and dangerous. And
but
I don't know.
When you get pregnant, it's not just your body, and I think that's probably the biggest conservative argument against abortion is you are now involving, I will say, potential life, even though I disagree with that.
Yeah. You
know, you're involving the life of another individual. But anyway, that's a big deal, Roe v. Wade being overturned. We thought it might come, you know, a month or so ago when they released, when that the leak, the Supreme Court opinion piece or whatever leaked, that was something that they were considering, and it happened.
Yeah, I wonder, now in hindsight, I wonder if they leaked it on purpose. If they were like, let's ease into this. If we leak it, people will be like, well, there's not really reason to protest because I don't know if that's the ruling yet. That's just their draft. And then they leak it, or they...
You mean the Supreme Court leaked it on purpose?
Yeah.
Because obviously whoever did on purpose.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, they were in on it. Or if not in on it, maybe even the person that leaked it didn't do it for a reason of like, oh, look what they're doing, but like, oh man, this is going to be a riot. But if I leak it, maybe it'll kind of blunt it a little bit. Like people get used to the idea before it comes out. I don't know. I don't know what happened there, but it seemed like it worked pretty well because haven't had any riots or major protests, really. I mean, there have been a lot of protests.
There have been some.
I haven't heard of any like really big ones.
Yeah, I think BLM got involved in at least one. And I saw videos of like, you know, vandalisms and all the stuff that makes complete sense when you're protesting something like that. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
So onto world news. This headline is quite the teaser. It definitely made me click or tap on my phone. But the headline is, NASA scientists say images from the Webb telescope nearly brought them to tears.
Oh, yeah, I heard that.
So 6 months ago on Christmas of last year, they launched the European, let's see, what is the group called? The European Space Agency launched the James Webb telescope, and it is the biggest telescope that has ever been created. And they sent it out into space, and it has been opened, essentially, right? It's now in working order.
Yeah.
And so I tapped on this article expecting to find an image of that the Webb telescope took, and it didn't have one.
Oh, yeah.
So I was a little disappointed. It basically is saying that the images that NASA has now seen are essentially bringing them to tears. because they're super amazing. NASA is going to release some of these images on July 12th. So anticipate that in a couple weeks. I'm really excited to see what it got.
Yeah, I think that'll be awesome. July 12th. I think they even said that the telescope was sensitive enough that they could reliably detect I can't remember the exact wording, but essentially they could see an exoplanet and detect its atmosphere. So what gas it's made of or whatever. And an exoplanet, as I understand, is a planet outside of our solar system. So it would have to be at least the nearest star, which would be 4 some odd light years away.
Yeah, the telescope is 1 million kilometers from Earth. In layman's terms, that's in the United States terms, that's far away.
Yeah. How many kilometers?
1 million kilometers.
1 million. So it's
Earth.
like 500,000 miles or
the telescope
something.
itself is 6.5 meters in diameter. And they've got, 13 different mirrors that are essentially focusing in on one place. So...
Yeah.
But yeah, so the exoplanet, this has the ability to detect fingerprints of small molecules such as carbon dioxide and ozone that will offer meaningful clues about the habitability of the worlds around our stars. It's really cool.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
It's cool, but the planet thing I'm not as excited about because they could point at a planet and be like, look, and take a picture and it looks just like Earth. And they're like, yeah, it's got oxygen and everything. And I'd be like, great.
Now what?
It might as well be.
We had suspicions that was there. Now it's there. Now what?
Yeah. That's cool that we know that, but.
Signs of the potentiality of life are not exciting as seeing life.
Yeah.
Right?
They'd have to zoom in on a giraffe with 3 heads. And then it'd be, that's cool. But I'm just saying that because it's so far away. We're just never going to get there.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll ever get there.
Nope. You don't think so?
Not in a meaningful way. I mean, even if so we shot those Voyager spacecraft, the ones with the golden records on them, out into space 40 years ago, and they've been going 70,000 miles an hour for 40 years. And at that rate, it would take another 10,000 years to get to the nearest star. So I don't know.
Yeah. So I guess it'll just be more of a teaser, right? There's potentiality for life, but okay.
Yeah.
What do we do now?
Yeah. But I'm more excited about the deep space photos they're going to take. Because they're saying they can see further back, in time than they ever have before. That'll be cool, I think. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe not. Maybe I'll be blown away by little planet baby. But I suspect it's going to be a 19 pixel blob of light that looks like
blue
nothing.
Hue, that means there may be some carbon dioxide on this planet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Are we going to find Kolob?
Yeah, it will be Kolob. They found it already. That's why they went to tears.
God does exist.
They found a message written in English in the stars. You did it.
Sincerely, God.
Yeah.
You found me. I exist.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Next worldwide news is, so in case you've been living under a rock, we have a war going on between Russia and Ukraine.
Yeah.
And just, I think 2 days ago, there was a missile that was launched. I think they suspect a Russian missile hit a shopping mall in Ukraine where there were estimated about 1,000 or so people. And at least in the last 2 days, there are 2 confirmed deaths and 20 or so hospitalized, 9 of whom are in critical condition. And this is at least as of earlier today when I found this. this article, but Russia, I guess, came out and said, "Oh, that was actually just we were launching at a weapons facility that was nearby, and the fire caught, the mall caught it caught the mall on fire, and there were no people there, so it's not a big deal." But that was all squashed when Ukraine said, "Yeah, actually, it was a functioning mall, and there were people there, and the missile. They had a surveillance camera from like a block away showing the missile hit the mall."
Yeah.
And that weapons facility that is there was like 500 kilometers away.
Yeah.
So
I would
500 meters, or I think is what it was.
I was surprised to see that movie, that film that they had, because it looked like a rocket, or like a rocket you would fly in. It was so big.
It looked huge for like as far as the resolution and the perspective from the camera was probably what looked like maybe 100 yards away.
Yeah.
But when they paused it, it was like the massive like a huge rocket.
Yeah, and I was thinking
that looks weird.
I actually thought, because it was a big explosion, but I was like, it seemed like too small of an explosion for how big that rocket was. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know the science of rockets and bombs, but it was big. That was a big thing to shoot at a mall.
Yeah.
So thanks a lot, you dicks, Russia.
Freaking Russia.
Yeah.
So that's still going on, and the U.S. is still involved in funding Russia's defense. So
yeah, I kind of torn on that. I don't know. It's weird. Especially, I was listening to, at the end of our last week's podcast, I put a little clip from John F. Kennedy, who was talking about the Cold War that was going on and all the stuff they were dealing with the Soviet Union. And he was saying, we need to try and change Russia or the Soviet Union's mentality about this, but we also need to change our own and start thinking about peace rather than war. And I worry a bit about all this kind of, I feel like it's ramping up that we're doing. I mean, they're admitting Finland and what else was it? Finland and Sweden to NATO. Mm-hmm. Russia's going to be pissed about that. We've been sending all kinds of money over there. I think they want to admit Ukraine to the European Union. And all of this stuff we think is good, but it is escalating behavior. Like this.
That's what Russia doesn't want.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, oh, we'll show you. But that is an escalation, even though it's not a direct military escalation. I don't know. I'm just worried about it a little bit. I feel like I don't want to get drawn into a war with Russia. Seems like the things that we're doing might do that. I don't know. But people like your dad, for example, think that we should get over there right now and kick some Russian
we
butt.
Should put feet on the ground and try to destroy Russia.
So I don't know.
How involved should we be in international matters like that? I don't know.
Yeah, it's crazy. And another thing Kennedy was saying in that same speech, he said the United States does not, and I believe this is pre-Vietnam, but he said the United States does not start wars, nor does it ever, which I thought was really interesting. Because obviously we have done since, but at least with Iraq, for sure. Vietnam could be another one, but well, I guess Vietnam.
Many would argue that the U.S. didn't start the war.
The terrorists did.
Yeah,
right.
The Middle Eastern terrorists did, but that's up for debate because we had incentive.
Yeah.
I think.
And I guess like Vietnam, I think France or somebody was over there already, so we went in to help them, and then we got stuck there. I don't know, but it's a little bit concerning. I don't know. I feel like we should have been a little more neutral, but maybe not. Maybe I'm a crazy pro-Putin maniac.
We already established that you are.
That I love him.
Yeah.
I have pictures of him with his shirt off all over my house, riding horses.
All 5'2" of him or
Yep.
whatever.
5'2", riding a horse.
Standing next to Tom Cruise, so he looks tall.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's messy.
Yeah, it sucks.
I don't know what we do.
I don't know either. It just seems like I thought it'd be over by now. Thought Russia would have just like walked right in, taken over, but it looks like they are sucking it up. And Ukraine's putting up a good fight, so it potentially could end in a more of a stalemate where Russia backs out under some kind of agreement or something. I mean, and that's just the way it is. You can't. We live in a day and age where you just can't like muscle your way and oppress people. The United States is a perfect example. I mean, how long were we in Afghanistan with the world's greatest military might? And, it doesn't seem like we changed much of anything.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Sucks.
Yeah, I wish we could just not fight.
Yeah, I wish we had Iron Man, like the real Iron Man,
right?
That could just fly over there, land in Putin's backyard, and be like, "Okay, buddy, it's over." And they'll all shoot him 100 times. The bullets will bounce off, and then they'll be like, "Oh crap!"
And he'll go, bzzz.
And he'll hold out his hand, and the little rocket things will pop out of his shoulders. He'll be like, "Come with me."
And then his mask will come off, and he'll be like, he'll say some catchphrase that the world likes.
Catchphrase.
Catchphrase.
and then it'll be over. Thanks, Iron Man.
Or we could have the 7, but you don't watch The Boys, so I guess that doesn't.
Is that who it is? You know who I have been watching is The Umbrella Academy.
I like that one.
The 3rd season just came out.
I need to watch that because I am not up to date on it.
Yeah, it's been pretty good. They, well, I won't get into that.
Okay,
but
we'll talk about it.
Yeah,
offline
once you watch it.
So we need supers.
Yeah, we need
soups, as they call it on The Boys.
We do. This is now a day and age where we do need superheroes. Thanks.
Or just people like Iron Man.
Yeah, why? Come on, Elon. If you're not building an Iron Man suit in your basement, and you're wasting your time.
We don't need the Boring Company. We don't need Tesla. We don't need to go to Mars. We need an Iron Man.
I just need you to be Iron Man
mm-hmm.
and take care of business.
So our main topic for the evening is, I just put on there one word because it's a major item of discussion. What do you think it is, Phil? Something that everyone in the region is talking about. Maybe have given it away.
In the Utah region?
Bigger than that.
The United States region.
Smaller than that.
The Southwest water issue.
Yeah, the drought.
Yep, I nailed it.
So we're in a major drought, and we're in a major drought like every year, it seems like, of at least my entire teenage through adult life has been the case, where we're running out of water.
Yeah.
And it's a serious thing, and how to deal with it is been up for debate for a long time. But yeah, we're kind of in a bad situation when it comes to water. Our reservoirs are lower than they've ever been, and Lake Powell is down below levels never been this low before. And
not since it was filled, right?
Not since they were filling it, yeah.
Yeah.
So how do we fix it? Do we have is government intervention the problem? Education? Do we just wait it out? What do we do? Is it not a big deal?
It seemed like nature just tried to fix it.
Today?
With COVID.
Oh, I was going to say, we had a big rainstorm
today.
Yeah,
and some hail today.
Yeah.
Did you see? My dad from American Fork sent a picture of some big golf ball hailstones.
Really?
Yeah. So, anyway, yeah. What was I saying? Something.
Your dad, golf ball size hail. I have a picture. No, we're not going to share it.
Right before though.
Drought?
Yeah, the drought.
COVID.
Oh, yeah.
Nature tried
to wipe everyone out. And not everyone, but enough people that we would have enough water.
So we would use less water?
Yeah. And now.
So the Chinese had a foresight.
Yeah. I think I was just going to look this up because didn't they say that COVID, they just came out with some study and they think that the vaccine saved 20 million lives worldwide. And I'm just Googling while I say that, how many people are born every year worldwide? So 140 million. So even if we hadn't done the vaccine or done anything about COVID and let all those people die, our population would have increased by almost just as much as it would have otherwise.
Well, now the federal government wants to have more people born. So that's going to make it worse.
They want to have more people?
Born. Yeah.
The federal government.
Well, the Supreme Court overruling abortion.
Oh.
Roe V Wade.
Yeah.
It's now going to be harder to get an abortion, so more people will be dead or be born, and drought will get worse.
Yeah, and now I'm just Googling how many abortions in the U.S. every year.
There's a lot.
So the number of abortions, so it seems to stick around 11 per, I don't know what that means. 11 per million, maybe? So what's that?
11 abortions per million people?
Oh, per 1,000 live births, there's about 11 abortions. That's stupid. Just tell me the number, Google.
Tell me how many.
Tell me how many your actual number.
Well, you said 140 million are born a year?
That's worldwide.
Worldwide. So if you take how many people are born in the United States per year and...
Okay. 2019, there were 625,000 abortions reported. So if this ruling actually does affect that number, we could be talking 100,000 easy. I don't know.
100,000 abortions?
100,000 more people being born every year. So that does suck.
Yeah. More water guzzling babies.
Yep. Who we all know are the worst water users.
Yeah. My toddler wants to water that lawn all the time.
Yep.
And she wants to go fill up buckets for cows.
No, kids really are the worst because they'll go out in the backyard and turn the hose on and not tell anyone. And so you'll go out there like 2 days later and it's been running and like soaked the ground like 20 feet deep with a swimming pool worth of water. Thanks, children.
Filling the groundwater aquifers.
Adding $150 to your water bill for that month.
Yeah, things like that happen.
Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. I hear a lot about it, but I also haven't seen if it actually, like, the reservoirs are going down, the earth's really dry, we have a lot of fires, but so far they haven't like outlawed lawns or anything. Mm-hmm. So it kind of makes me feel like maybe it's not very serious. Maybe it's just part of a cycle or something. I don't know. And then they just had this huge flood up in Yellowstone, and my cousin was actually just down in Lake Powell, and he said while he was there for a few days, the water rose 2 feet just while he was there.
Wow.
So but he also said that's pretty common. Like this time of year, they get more water, but obviously it's about like how much they get versus how much they lose and all that. So
yeah, I think it's about. Obviously, in Utah, the Mountain West, the big deal is snowpack, right? If we can have snow on the mountains, and it's easy to measure how deep the snowpack is at a certain point in the year. But right now, Mount Timpanogos is almost completely bare as far as snow is concerned. It's almost all gone.
And it usually is this time of year, isn't it?
Yeah, usually, I mean... It has been for a few weeks. If we can get have snow on the mountains in early July, then usually we're in a pretty good position.
Yeah.
But because it fills up the reservoirs. But if you drive up Provo Canyon, the river seems really high. And then Deer Creek Reservoir is pretty high,
Yeah.
but I think it's probably the highest it's going to get.
Yeah.
And so that the Provo River is going to drain that out, and then, it's going to be completely bone dry and we're all going to die. Oh, wait, no, that never happens. It does sometimes. There are several reservoirs in Utah that are really, really low. I saw a picture of one that was so low that a building that used to be in that valley was exposed and has been underwater for, I don't know, 50 years or something.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the reservoirs are low, but in my opinion, we're never going to run out of water. Like, there will always be water.
Well, it's interesting because my family owns some farmland out in western Utah, and last year they leased the land out to somebody, and the well actually dried up like by July, which I don't think has ever happened before. So the water table out there got low enough that it just dried up. So I think situations like that can affect things locally. As far as like, we're not going to have water to drink, I don't think that's ever going to be the case. But are we going to have water for crops to feed the animals? That kind of thing? I don't know. And I don't know whether that's a big deal, because if you don't have the crops to feed the cattle, that just means you have to liquidate or whatever a lot of your cattle, which means beef is super cheap right now because we can't feed them, so we got to slaughter them. And then water's gonna come back someday, and then we'll have more cattle again. I don't know. I guess beef would get really cheap and then be really expensive because there'd be a lot fewer cattle.
Yeah, once they've reached that point to where they can't feed the ones that they've got.
Yeah. And this is just going off the idea that Beagle says, which is that the cattle are the problem. Beef. If you want to solve the water problem, just quit eating beef. But I don't know.
If you want to end happiness, stop eating beef.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and I think a lot of the water, too, is actually used up via electricity. Like, when they let the water out of the dam to produce electricity, that water just flows away, in theory, to the ocean finally, or somewhere, right? So...
if that's the final destination.
Yeah, I don't know where like Lake Powell ends up, but we should know something about a thing. But
I know that water's coming out of my faucet, so there's that.
Yeah, it still is. And when you hike up Rock Canyon in Provo Canyon, or Rock Canyon in Provo, and you get up like a mile, there's still that drinking fountain there that's just like on all the time, which I think flows down out of the spring or whatever.
It's a groundwater.
Is it groundwater?
I
like
would assume probably
artesian spring or something. But yeah, it just always going. So it must not be that much of a water crisis.
Yeah.
They're just spilling water out onto the nothing. Right?
Right. I know I've been trying to be a little bit more responsible with my watering. I cut back my watering of my lawn about 40%, and my grass is still green. So I'll probably cut it back a little bit until the grass seems to be too dry, and maybe I'll raise it up a few minutes of watering every other day. But I think that if everybody at least had that mindset and minimize the amount of water they're using consciously, then that could have a positive impact. Not nearly as much as, obviously, households aren't nearly as big of a deal as farmers and big land usage and all of those other places.
Well, I was watching a thing like officials in Las Vegas were talking about like all the things they've done because they've outlawed lawns down there. There's no more grass for people or very little, or I don't know how it works, but they said just by doing that, they've cut about 20% of their water use, which isn't insignificant. But it's also not like a game changer, I don't think. But so if you got rid of your lawn entirely, and that's how much it would like save the community or whatever, I don't know. My father-in-law, he's putting a new lawn in, and he wants to put like this underground system. Have you heard of those or seen those?
Mm-mm.
It's kind of like a blanket that you lay down under the topsoil, and it saturates. So there's no more sprinklers or anything. It just like waters the roots, and it's supposed to be a lot more efficient or whatever. But I worry about it like breaking down. It sounds like something that would break, and then you have like dry spots in your lawn and stuff like that. But I don't know. I don't know how successful it's been.
So you feel this pillow or whatever is underneath the surface with water on a infrequent basis?
Well, yeah, in theory, you have to water less often with less water because you don't have to saturate like the top 2 or 3 inches. It doesn't evaporate.
Yeah.
It just goes right to the roots, so they get how much water they need. But I don't know. I'll have to look into it more. It sounds interesting, but like I said, just thinking about like how it would work, I could see it working really well like the first couple of years, and then after that it's like, oh, this whole section here
has to be replaced.
Yeah, which means the whole lawn has to be replaced or something. I don't know.
I know sprinklers are super easy to fix.
Yeah.
And they're easy to tell when they're not working.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. A guy like I said, my family has this ranch land, and the guy they were leasing to, he wanted to, because right now the land is watered with standpipe, which is just essentially like a 20-foot long pipe with a sprinkler in the middle, and you link them all together in a big long line, and they sprinkle that section. Then you take them all apart one by one and move them down and hook them back together. So you're just sprinkling. And if you stand out there and it's 110 outside, you're just watching that water float up into space. But they just let it go all day and all night watering that land. But he wanted to do this thing where they take like 1 acre sections and they like kind of build up a little mound around them and make it perfectly flat, like laser level flat. So they just flood these acre sections at a time, and you don't have to flood it with as much because, again, it's super flat. Mm-hmm. And then you're not losing all that evaporation or whatever. It seems like it could work too. But again, like the problem is, like, at least with my family's ranch, it's extremely difficult financially even to keep that place going at all, let alone like be water efficient. You know what I mean? Like, so that's going to be the problem, is like all these ranchers, it's not like they're just like, haha, let's waste water. They're barely hanging on, a lot of them, just to survive the way they are. Mm-hmm. So it would take some kind of government, intervention or financing or something to change those things in a lot of situations. I don't know.
So go vegan.
Go vegan. Let all the cows die.
Become unhappy because you're not eating burgers in the summer.
Yeah. Cows aren't natural anyway. They're man's creation.
Right.
So let them die. We'll eat them. It'll be like the year of the steak.
The year of plenty.
We'll eat steak every meal.
And then we'll have a year of famine.
Yeah, and then 7 years of famine after that. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah. That's about right.
I get it.
So everybody do that. And
exactly.
America will be fixed. Are you comfortable, Phil? You've like slowly slouched enough to where you're completely horizontal laying in your chair.
I slid right down into my DM. I actually heard that as a reference. That's a real thing. I thought you made that up, but
it is a thing.
But yeah, I heard it somewhere. But no, I was just sliding down. I got more and more comfortable the lower I got until I was laying flat on my chair somehow.
That was funny to see.
Yeah.
Experience.
But anyway, so yeah, save the water, save the whales.
Yeah. We'll never run out of water. So,
but don't save the water.
Be more responsible. If you're watering too much, then stop.
Yeah.
You don't use, and the same is true for any aspect in your life, right? Too much of, gluttony or whatever, right? Don't be so just don't do too much of what you don't need to do too much of.
Yeah. Don't have two boys that leave the water on. So maybe the solution to this, that's a terrible thing to say. You knew right where I was going, didn't you? I shouldn't say it, but I will anyway. But Roe v. Wade is making the water situation worse. We kind of already said that, right? So
overturning Roe v. Wade is now going to make the drought worse.
Yep.
So they should have waited until we were at a situation to where we have an abundance of water.
At peak capacity.
Yeah. And then they're like, hey, nobody can have an abortion, have babies, and be sexually irresponsible. Don't wear your seatbelt.
Yeah, wear your seatbelt. And we'll see what happens with Roe v. Wade and all that. I don't know where it'll go. It'll be interesting. So.
All right. Well.
Do you think we fixed America?
I think that, yes, if people do what we say, because we're really responsible in our solutions, then America will be better.
Yeah. And they'll be saved in the kingdom of heaven.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Trent would say, you stupid idiot. Don't say that.
Effing Mormons.
we miss you, Trent.
Yeah.
So
thanks for listening. This has been the American Forks Podcast, coming straight into your ear holes from the 6 Foot Studios